the towers collapsing. The Pentagon in flames. They are indelible images burned into world history. And still, we cannot grasp the magnitude.
God, I saw the plane hit the building. I can't say anything.
I heard people shouting. I stopped at like 68, and there's a woman in a wheelchair, and I got her in the strapped wheelchair and just carried her down the steps and carried her down 68 floors, man. And then we got.
How can we comprehend a morning on which thousands of people, unknowing, woke up, looked at themselves in the mirror for the last time, and got dressed to die? Who could have imagined men and women who just went to work that day, jumping, falling?
Helpless. Absolutely helpless. I don't even want to think about how many cops and firemen were in there at the time, other than civilians. Don't even want to think about it.
Was it God or fate or nothing but luck that determined which New York City firemen survived? That for some reason made somebody late enough that morning to live?
Instead of making a left to go to the elevators, I made a right and I went into the concourse, and I went to an optometrist shop, and I was being fitted for reading glasses. I needed new glasses.
What made Michael LaMonaco, the chef at Windows on the World, decide to run an errand before heading up to the restaurant on the 107th floor of the North Tower?
And when I got out to the street, I knew something terrible had happened. I thought my people. I mean, I thought all my people.
Day or night, 7 days a week, there was never a time when his people were not there.
I saw a fireball of... I'm completely sorry that I witnessed any of this. When that second tower burst into flames, I hadn't lost hope, but I thought, another human being can't do this to people. It can't be.
Since that moment on that day, Michael LaMonaco's obsession, shared with every boss from every company at the World Trade Center, has been to find out who's safe, who's dead, but most of all, who's missing.
Good afternoon, Beacon Restaurant Windows on the World hotline.
By Wednesday, a Windows on the World hotline had been set up at another restaurant. Unaccounted for out of 500 employees, maybe 50.
I lost my sister. She works at Windows of the World.
This is her picture here on my right.
Lucille Francis.
This is my 50th birthday when we took our pictures together. So someone look carefully. This one is on my right, Lucille.
One after another, Michael LaMonaco and Elizabeth Ortiz, Human Resources Director for Windows, listened to the scared, sad voices.
You've got this list. On this list, it's missing, 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 missing.
It's a really grim experience. We haven't lost anybody yet. We can't say lost. They're just, they haven't been found, so they're missing. I mean, how else can we feel? We have to have some hope.
When Windows on the World opened, food critic Gail Green wrote, "Down below is all of Manhattan, and helicopters and clouds. Everything to hate and fear is invisible," she said. And so it seemed, even after the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center.
Well, the first thing it was when I joined it was a symbol of American and New York courage, and Windows Public Place was there as a symbol of democracy and triumph over evil.
How ironic that seems now. Elizabeth Ortiz and her assistant Christina Quinn, together on Friday, made the rounds, found themselves along with thousands of others trying to find names on lists, touching them the way people touched the names on the Vietnam Wall. The missing smile at us. We peer into the privacy of their past happiness. Like the population of a whole lost city, they are gathered spirits haunting us. Missing, Jose Nunez, one of the Windows on the World kitchen crew. At the end of the day, Elizabeth and Christina have learned that one man is dead, not missing. That's all. They have no news for the family of assistant pastry chef Norberto Hernandez. For one heartbreaking night, they thought he was in a hospital in New Jersey.
Once we got there, it was the wrong person. It was by somebody by the name of Greg Hernandez. It wasn't him, so...
Ron Hernandez.
Yes.
So they continue to look. They pray, as thousands of other families pray, that their loved ones will be found alive, not here. We see the bucket brigades, the rubble mountains. They are oblivious to them. They are hardly aware of the threat of war, these families. They live with their hope and their Xeroxed pictures. Missing, Mohammed Saladin Chowdhury, 39 years old, from Bangladesh. He had a master's degree in physics, but worked as a banquet waiter. His brother and his cousin are devastated.
If he's alive, that's fine. If he's not alive, still we have to come to kind of conclusion that, okay, this is...
What if you never find out?
Let's hope that.
Hopefully not.
Let's hope that you will find it. We'll find it.
If for no other reason, to see his son. Farkat Saad Chowdhury was born at 9:13 a.m., September 13th, almost exactly 48 hours after his father, like 5,000 other people, went to work as usual and disappeared. We have seen what happened that day, and still we cannot grasp the magnitude.
Ahead, the investigation.
Abner, we're rich.
We're rich?
It's our new litter. It's got diamonds in it.
Diamonds! What's a diamond?
A diamond is a very valuable...
You are mistaken, my friends. The diamonds are crystals in new Tidy Cats Crystals blend. The clay traps moisture. The crystals eliminate odor. And that is the only reason I agreed to live here with the likes of you.
Whatever.
New Tidy Cats Crystals blend.
I still think they're diamonds.
While Mike was putting up his own for sale sign, someone was helping his neighbors John and Diane with plans to sell their home. As Mike spent Saturday figuring out legal agreements and guessing his home's value, someone was preparing a counteroffer so John could help with the school fundraiser. And while Mike and his wife were reevaluating their asking price for the third time, someone was closing the sale on John and Diane's home. You've got a life. We let you live it. We're realtors. Real estate is our life.
Need help deciding? Go to thenewsteel.com.
Our guarantee is our promise. If you're not happy with your glasses, you can bring them back. No questions.
That's what LensCrafter's 30-day money-back guarantee is all about.
Every day brings new developments in the investigation of the terror attacks. Just last night, authorities announced a second arrest in connection with the case. Although much about the plot is still shrouded in mystery, Jim Stewart tells us one thing is already chillingly clear. The terrorists knew exactly what they were doing.
The FBI now has 2 people in custody, and authorities say both are believed to have, quote, direct knowledge of Tuesday's attack. Meanwhile, it is now clear the FBI had been looking for 2 of the hijackers for several weeks before Tuesday's attack took place. The 2 men were believed to be associated with the bombing of the USS Cole last year outside Yemen. It now appears that many, if not most of the men who attacked us on Tuesday did not quietly slip across our borders in the dead of night or even come here in disguise. They lived among us in the open for a long, long time.
I'd see him come and go, and I'd wave at him, never talk to him.
He was my neighbor. That's scary.
FBI agents weren't breaking into secret hideaways this week. They were carting out evidence from homes in Florida and apartments in Massachusetts openly rented by the men who would become hijackers. Some of the hijackers spent more than a year learning how to fly in Florida and elsewhere. They had credit cards, rental cars, even frequent flyer memberships. So the question that faces investigators is a simple one. How did we miss them? And could there be more?
We will never be able to protect everything, everywhere, all the time, from every potential adversary and every modality of attack. Not in a free and open society such as the United States.
Frank Salufo is a terrorism expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. He says that while the men may have been living in plain sight, they were members of groups that are difficult to penetrate.
We need to get within the decision-making chain of these organizations. And as you know, terrorism tends to germinate within very small cells. If you compromise one cell, you don't bring the whole chain down.
Intelligence expert and author James Bamford.
The cells, in addition, are made up of blood relatives or clan members. It's almost impossible to put somebody in there, especially somebody from the United States.
The presumption is that these cells of men did not act alone. Someone had to pay for the flight schools. There were apartments to be rented, credit cards to be paid. James Bamford says they had a lot of help.
Was that they apparently got a lot of support from people who could actually fly planes, like pilots and so forth. Finding these people, getting them, recruiting them, getting them to fly to the United States and agree to commit suicide.
So the FBI is now looking for as many as 100 people. They've done it successfully in the past. It's believed that most, if not all, the suspects who attempted to blow up the World Trade Center towers in 1993 were caught. Many of those involved in the bombing of 2 U.S. embassies in Africa in 1998 were arrested. But the awful truth is that even though terrorists have been jailed, other terrorists have been taking notes, learning from their past failures. And no one has been a better student than Osama bin Laden.
If you defend against one form of attack, the terrorist alters his modus operandi. If we defend against one particular target, you force them to select from an endless number of other soft targets that they can choose.
The deliberate and deadly attacks which were carried out yesterday against our country were more than acts of terror. They were acts of war.
So while George Bush may have declared war on terrorism, Frank Salufo says the USA needs to develop new weapons.
You don't just knock on bin Laden's cave and say, hi, we're here to join. We have to remember terrorists don't frequent the cocktail circuit. These aren't Boy Scouts. These aren't good people. We absolutely must recruit people with blood on their hands to save the shedding of innocent blood, especially Americans.
And we'll need help from other countries as well, principally from Pakistan, a nation that's overwhelmingly Islamic but has helped in the past.
They did hand over the 2 most wanted terrorists at the time. Mir Milkazi was responsible for the bombings, the shootings outside of the CIA, and Ramzi Youssef was the mastermind behind the World Trade Center bombing.
But there is no shortage of people willing to kill Americans. For whatever reason, religious, cultural, there are more than a few Osama bin Ladens waiting in the wings.
We need to be in this for the long haul. This is a protracted struggle. This is a long-term struggle.